Mr. Warford updates. With Mr. Warford updates. With Mr. Warford updates. With Mr. Warford.
What's up? Welcome to Updates with Mr. Warford. This is from our world history people. We've been talking about culture this unit, Unit 3, okay? And in Unit 3, part of the things that we're talking about at the beginning is cultural identity. Cultural identity is just how we make sense of ourselves. And if you're like, Warford, what do you mean by that? We're talking about things like shared experiences, emotions, personal connections related to language, religion, race, sexuality, gender. And one thing you need to know is cultural identity is constantly changing, and everyone has their own unique cultural identity. Identities change across scales. So what you're going to find is that as you change scale, you're going to find more information or more specific information about people's individual cultural identity. So here's an example. New York City, a huge city in the United States. When you look at it, you may say, if you're looking at more regional scale, you're probably saying things like there's a such and such percentage of a Hispanic population in New York City. And that would be correct if you had a correct percentage point there. But as you go into more local and individual scale, you're going to find that that moniker or that label Hispanic can get more specific into, like, is it Puerto Rican culture? Is it Dominican culture? There's all kinds of different offshoots of that term Hispanic. And as you change scale, you're going to find different information about people's cultural identities. So what is the difference between race and ethnicity? A lot of times people use these things interchangeably, and that is technically not correct. Okay, race is based on skin color and physical characteristics. You need to know for your test. I repeat, you need to know for your test that race is what's called a social and political construct. That means people made it up. There is no biological basis for race. If you are a certain race, it does not make you more apt to act a certain way. It does not make you think a certain way, do certain things, have certain abilities that other races do not. It's completely a social construct. Race is based off of things like skin color, eye color, hair color, and different variations of your physical makeup that have just happened because humans have adapted to their environment. So race is something that humans made up. Now, if you're like, Warford, if humans made it up, why do I see it mentioned all the time? How come when I fill out a form somewhere, it asks me what my race is? Does race exist? Biologically, no, because humans made it up. But socially, it does have consequences. Socially, it does have implications in our lives because across world history, across human history, people have tried to use race to explain differences of people. So where did it come from? Large elements of the reason that we even think about the term race or think about the idea of race is because when European empires started to circle the globe and try to colonize or imperialize across the world and try to find more goods to trade with other countries, and people started to interact more, when we see like more globalization, we start to see groups of people that don't look the same interacting. And it's human nature to want to explain the differences in people. Okay, so through that, we start seeing people labeling others. And unfortunately, a byproduct of that labeling was that certain groups started to think they were superior to others. And that's what we know commonly as racism. So this idea of prejudice plus power. Okay, you look different than me, but I'm better than you because I have power over you. That's essentially what racism is. And that's a byproduct of this idea, this social construct of race. So how is ethnicity different? Ethnicity is a group of people who identify as having a shared culture or biological history. So whereas race is literally skin deep, ethnicity goes a little deeper into culture, okay, a shared culture. So it's often tied to a specific place, a homeland or a home nation, a specific language, a religion, and identification with your ethnicity tends to increase as a result of migration. When people migrate to a new area, it's only natural that they want to link up with people of their similar ethnicity because they share an experience together. So here's some examples of how sometimes race and ethnicity can get tricky, and it's why people just generally lump the terms together even though they're completely different. So here's a few examples. Someone can identify as black racially, but if you're raised in Panama, you're technically Panamanian. Your ethnicity is Panamanian. So you can be one race, but also be a different ethnicity. They are not the same thing. Here's another example. If somebody's born in Georgia, but their parents are Japanese, if you were to say, what is that person's race, you would say Asian. That's kind of a broad racial term. But ethnically, they would identify or could identify as Japanese American. So you can see why people get confused with these, because you can be a certain race, but be a different ethnicity. Here's another example. People who share the same race may belong to different ethnicities. Like if you say this person is white, well, they could be from Britain, they could be from Germany, they could be from Ireland, all having different ethnic characteristics. And also people, side note, some people lump in ethnicity with also nationality, and we'll get into that in class at a different time because I don't want to confuse you too much. So ethnicity can also explain conflict between groups, and we're going to look at certain groups throughout world history that have had conflict due to differences in their ethnic groups. Places like Northern Ireland, Rwanda, the former Yugoslavia. We're going to get into those about how differences in ethnicity can cause conflict. And then we'll also get into ethnocentrism. Similar to racism, it's this idea that one's own ethnic group is superior to somebody else's. So I know that's a lot, but we're going to cover all different aspects of this range of race versus ethnicity. How are they different? And what are some social consequences of these ideas? So what I want you to do is go into Google Classroom. You're going to find an assignment called the Geography of Race, and I want you to start that today. Thanks. Have a great day.